I might just start like this.
Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Get Your Deck Out podcast. One true podcast where we look at the date and time of the year and go, oh my God, we are now old.
We are.
This week, me, Old Emo Dave, joined as usual of 11 MTG, are with Axion, now Invitational Champion 2025, MIT Open Season 1.
Arena Championship 11 competitor, just shy of top 32.
Multiple times on your feature match screens.
Regional Championship testing team leader, and born in 2003, which is why I started this episode with my head in my hands, because we realized that Myra, or Messiah Hoshino, was 12 when Dragons of Tarkir came out, and that's upsetting to me when they are 5 times the Magic player that I will ever be.
Well, thanks to them, I can actually play Bandcamp Poppy now. Myra, welcome on the podcast. Thank you for being here. It's wonderful to finally get this one over the line.
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you for having me on, because since I think Spotlight Liverpool, or even like Axion Cardiff, like we were in talks of like having an episode, and circumstances and a lot of tournaments in between just kind of pushed it. And now I guess we get to, just chat about our favorite game and our growth in the tournament scene.
Yeah, you've been
stoked.
too busy qualifying for everything and winning anything that you can get your hands on. So it was quite hard to nail you down for an hour. But we are here. We have got it. We are now on the future section of our Eduardo. I'm sorry if you hear this and feel offended, but past, present, and future section, where Eduardo himself said he was an ex-pro. We have had Simon Nilsson, who is the current at the top of the hill, and you, Myra, are very much on the way up, we shall say. For people who aren't aware, Myra has not been playing the game very long in the grand scheme of Magic, when the game has been around for 33 years, but has started with a bang. If you go to the ELO project page, you can see the starting records, you can see the learning process, and then all of a sudden it's just like 10-4, 11-3, 10-4, 10-4, 11-1, 10-4-1, 9-4-1, 11-3. It's just, the trajectory has gone up and up and up, and it doesn't seem to be slowing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I started playing Magic competitively. Actually, funny story, I was inspired to play competitively because I met one of my idols and my best friend at the moment, Christian Calcano, in Haruya in Japan, when I was like visiting my family. So, after moving out of Japan, moving to Italy, where I started med school 3 years ago, that's when I also started Magic, like competitively. So I guess within this 3 years, it has been a lot of changes. For example, not only getting to know the Italian Magic community, then kind of transitioning on and starting to work with, Mangu, Calc, Alex, the Worldly Council crew was, I guess a big step up and learning moment, where I just kind of been blessed to be learning the game with all my great friends. So I guess thank you for highlighting my, I guess, lots of near misses the Pro Tour, but thanks to them, I'm here and I'm honored to talk about my journey.
Yeah, and on that journey, I got to say, like, so as a guy who's, let me just double check this now. I am 287 days into my Spanish Duolingo journey. if you've been in Italy for 3 years and seen how fluent your Italian was when I sat next to you in Spotlight Series in Liverpool, I think I need to just go and play Magic in Spain with everyone, because it was incredible. I didn't. Now, admittedly, I was like locked in. I was on the bubble of, oh, if I lose the net, I'm gonna not get. I'm not gonna be in contention for day two. And I'm sitting down. I don't even look left or right, and then I just get this little nudge. It's like, that was I thought it was an Italian sitting there. It was so impressive. It was really a great thing. But I guess that's what happens when you not only embed yourself in a culture from a perspective of learning, and I guess anywhere in the world, and a lot of countries will go and say, "Oh, we're the best place to learn." I think I'd give Italy a really good high level place to go if you want to be at the top of your Magic the Gathering game from a point of view of how much is happening and what kind of level they play at. But yeah, obviously you engross yourself that much, you get part of everything that's going on, and yeah, success has followed. But yeah, no, it's an amazing run and outcome, and yeah, it's led on to the next level with obviously where you find yourself now, part of Worldly Council and looking after the RC team. Just Eduardo spoke very, very highly of that, and how have you felt that that's like leveled up your game as well?
Yeah, so as you have just said, I've had the honors to lead and organize the RC team that feeds into the PT team for Team Worldly Council for a few seasons now. And I think the main, let's say, reconsolidation it had in my game was just understanding how not only to communicate, but the importance of communication and the importance of community. I'm sure Eduardo has covered it in great depth, but Worldly Council, we are truly a community based and backed up team. And we really benefit off of that key goal of mutual striving. And I think that really positive environment of taking people in, developing them, teaching them, but also getting taught from the newcomers, and having this environment where we can exchange ideas, push each other up, has just been, I guess, the secret of my, but also many success. So being both on the side of being developed as well as the side of developing, just over and over again, realizing the importance of community and the gathering, I guess, as much as it sounds cheesy, that's just been the greatest just secret to the game.
Yeah, come for the magic, stay for the gathering. It's always been the way the game's worked, and it's always been like, it's why we do what we do, obviously at a much lower skill level than Worldly Council on the averages, but support the community, and that's at a local level, that support people who are driving to RC queues and trying to qualify for that RC, and then when they've qualified for a few RCs and they feel ready to take the next step, I suppose we'll point them in your direction, and then you can take them onto the next step from there. And as I found out in the pre-call as well, people like Alex Rohan, who's now captaining your PT team, can take them from there as well and develop them into Pro Tour regulars. And it's like football in that you need the grassroots level as much as you need the Premier League and the Champions League. And you seem to have nestled yourself in the middle in a spot that seems really good for you, because you're very nice. That is like the key thing, is you're very easy to communicate with. And it's kind of baffling that your English is better than Dave's when you went from Japan to Italy. But in terms of the testing, and as you said, the communication's really important. How structured is that? Do you have weekly calls? Is it like twice a week, or is it people just writing messages in Discord? Is it people jumping on whenever they can and it's just like open chat rooms? How does that even work in terms of the structure with so many people involved?
Yeah, so actually just a fun fact. Although I did move from Japan to Italy, a big bulk of my actual student years during middle school, high school, I spent in New Zealand. So I would say I've got a really interesting background of not just being Japanese, but also, you know, living in New Zealand, now Italy, and God knows where I'll be in 10 years' time. But that's for another day.
Wales, hopefully, helping the grassroots.
But in terms of like the testing and the communications, so the really characteristic part about Worldly Council is that we are, again, a very international team. For example, for the RC level, we have 4 different crews, where I usually handle the logistic side of adding all of them in with the helps of each region leaders. For example, I'm also the European region leader. There's the South American crew, there's the Canadian crew, and there's the ANZ crew. And obviously, you know, there's going to be time zones, different RC dates and stuff. But the way we structure that is each region leader will handle the way they want for their crew. And in terms of actual messaging and the exchanging of ideas for the decks, for example, like, I don't know, is it lessons like you qualified to the RC with, you know, we'll have a channel where everyone from all the regions can hop in and do like exchange ideas and stuff. But I think the way we try and structure that, because with a lot of people, there's a lot of noise. So for Europe, I do weekly calls, kind of like a top-down style, where I ask everyone to already be writing down their thoughts and their prediction and what they want to be focusing on for that week to me, where I then read all of them and present them in a meeting top-down style, alongside like the data that our data analyst kind of pulls alongside the matchup win rate matrix. So we'll take that. I'll talk a bit about like what those numbers mean, the trend of the metagame, the direction it's going towards. And then if there's like any, let's say, disputes that wants to be made on like where the trend is, that's when like we use the meeting time to discuss. We can also use the meeting time, for example, to present ideas in a more direct way. For example, one of the things we did was before the RC was we identified that Cub should make a comeback because of the increase in landfall and the decrease in like the PT level 2 decks, for example, demons, elementals. So we were like, okay, Cub is a good deck. Even against prowess, it's got game on the plate. So then we also implemented this white element to it to help it catch back up on tempo on the draw. So like in the meetings, we'll be like, okay, Jaime and I kind of identified this new idea. We've been writing reports and writing our ideas down in the channels. I suggest everyone to try it out. And then people will try it out and then go from there. I think the most important thing we do is splitting the testing season in different sections. So the first bit will be exploration, where we just try and get familiar with how to play each decks, or even try potential brews. And then there's the focused gauntlet session, where we take a hypothesis from the format and then we try and answer it by, you know, direct challenges between teammates. For example, like imagine, you know, you want to know whether X card is good against Lesson or X cyborg plan is good against Lesson. Who better to ask to play against you than Ben Jones?
Yeah,
Right.
he cannot stop winning with lessons, even when, I mean, you talk about like making hypotheses and theorizing about the format as well. And with someone in my position where recently moved house, I've got a long-term partner, I have pets who have actually been quite good. They have now moved. They are now about 8 feet to my right, and my 2 guinea pigs have stayed quite quiet, thankfully. But I don't have
Content pigs. They know.
Yeah.
They know what to say. They know.
I don't have like a huge amount of time to sit and grind and play test. I can't really sit for 6 hours unless I carve that time out really deliberately and run through an entire league, write down my thoughts, record all my games, watch back through them. I would have a hypothesis about standard, and I thought, okay, well, people are responding to lessons now. It seems to be getting worse. This was in the lead up to Liverpool. I think I was thinking about this. And despite all of that, Ben Jones just went and steamrolled the whole thing with lessons anyway. And I turned around and went, well, this is the issue, not the deck. I just can't win with it on Arena anymore because people know how to play against it now. Where I was on lessons really early. In fact, even before the Pro Tour, I saw the lesson shell. I was trying it. It's in a much more controlling deck. It was closer to Derek Davis's deck, but I was already quite familiar with it, and then did a lot of play testing, rolled that into an RCQ win really early in the format. So I think I did get fortunate with that situation, but it was proof to me that if you put the work in and you become familiar, have your plans for all the known decks as much as you can, it does directly translate to win rate. It just does. Like, I went out, bought the Slagstorm because I thought this is really important to have in my deck if I play against Landfall. And I played against Dave on Landfall twice in the event. I cast Slagstorm twice, and it won me the game both times. It was that, like, familiarity, as you were saying, where I feel like I've only ever done week one. I've only ever done the exploration phase, and I've not been able to dive much deeper. So for someone in my position where I don't have that much time, I don't have a testing team, we've got a local group, they're a really dedicated group of people, and they are brilliant. And also, like, quite a good level for a local group as well. And they're all quite motivated. A lot of them are very competitive. I don't have a huge amount of time. Is there anything I can do to make my time more valuable?
Right. So actually, the phrase you said in the end, making your time more valuable, that's actually one of the most important things when you're transitioning from just playing leagues for reps into actually testing and preparing.
That's why I teed you up with the term. I knew you were going to run with it. Go for it.
Yeah. So I think the main idea is the biggest, I guess, pitfalls people in the exploration phase fall into is they kind of get tunneled vision, looking at the format from only one side and losing perspective from the other sides as well. That's where I think getting familiar with the play patterns and the matchup profiles of other decks in the format, whether you're going to play it or not, is really important. But obviously that requires a lot of work. And that's where I think friends and testing partners and teammates come in, where you try and like spread out the task, allocate tasks so you can cover the different ends of the format. And then after a few days, you swap and take turns. So you both, one, can talk about your experiences, talk about your learnings, but also see it for yourself as well. And just piecing the metagame as a puzzle where if one goes up, a deck goes up. It's like an ecosystem, actually, really. When one thing thrives, the other thing will either thrive or fall due to that change in, the dynamic changes in the metagame. So I think the way to make your time more efficient is finding a really motivated bunch of great friends and allocating tasks effectively.
Well, good luck. I could tell them to do stuff and they'll turn around and tell me to bugger off. So they might very well be motivated to play the game, but I think if I turned around and started assigning tasks, they would call me a dictator and move to have me removed from my position.
So I think that's often the case when you're basically perceived as throwing a burden on someone else for your own sake. Whereas when you allocate a task, I think an important thing is also tell them why it's beneficial to them if they don't get it at first. For example, it's like, from the example you said, okay, I've been focusing on lessons, and currently Landfall is going to be very popular. I think figuring out the Landfall versus lessons matchup is very important. If you could first get familiar with the landfall deck, and then in a few days, if we could meet up and do some testing sessions, I think that would benefit both of us, and both of us will strive, because one, you get to learn to play this deck in case you want to pivot to it. Two, you get to learn about how the deck functions and the weak points and the strength of the deck more in depth. So in case you want to play another deck to try and beat landfall, you'll have a more robust idea. And three, I will also do the same work on landfall in a few days after we take turns. So that way, your effort can combine with my effort, and we can build something nice together. So I think just emphasizing that community aspect, that mutual striving aspect is really important. And I think ultimately the word task allocation is a bit misleading, because it sounds really like a top down, oh, I'm the boss, you do this, you do this, you do this. Whereas it's more a mutual agreement to decide the direction of the testing.
So in terms of you being a captain, sorry to cut you off, Dave, but in terms of you being the captain for the RC team and specifically for Europe, you're the one who organizes the calls and talks about the topics and like leads the meetings, but you aren't the one who says, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then we'll all come back in 3 days, and then some other people will do some other tasks, and then we will look at the results. It's more of a like that collaborative community gathering, I suppose, aspect of it that you talked about.
Well, I think in my case, a really important fact is, although I'm a leader, how do I say it? I'm very roastable, as in like, I mean, there's team members, when I do a funny face, they'll just go, oh, pot of greed. So
feels a little bit like my role in the Get Your Deck Out Media Club. It does.
You said it, Dave, not me. That's all I'm going to say.
But I think being really, casual, being able to relate to your members really easily and have them be able to have a really comfortable environment, talking to, asking for help, asking for advice, asking for help in terms of like tasks is really important, at least way I want to lead my crew. And the second thing is, in the interview process, when I, interview people to see if I could add them or not, I always look out for, I think you also heard it a lot from Eduardo, but the keyword is hunger. And the other keyword is mutual striving. And the other keyword is community. So these 3 words is what I really look out for. So I think there's already a baseline expectation of like, not because I'm a leader, but because a teammate asked for help, they would step up and do their part, because they also know that they can do the same. So I think if you want to organize, not necessarily as a leader, but as a community member, you want to organize a testing session or a testing group, I think it's important to make that environment where everything's just reciprocated, or everything is communicated clearly to show the intent of reciprocation. And I guess I do that well by being a goof, and yeah,
and being part of greed.
Yeah, I love the take on it, because you don't necessarily realize that that's actually going to be the extra layer to add to your game, is to understand the other deck well enough. For example, I know when they're holding up like 2 blue and a red mana, what's like the combinations of things that they could be doing, and what would you maybe want to stop yourself if they, like, okay, maybe I can play around the counter spell, but also if I don't hold this up, I'm going to let them have the stock up next turn, and things like that definitely help you. I guess it's the percentages, right? Isn't it? Like when the meta's balanced, like, and we spoke in the Simon episode about like it being about the best standard has been and modern has been for quite a bit, like at the same time at least as well. And it's about finding the percentages for the best deck on the day is like even more important, because there is you even just can go back, I don't know, to sort of, let's just take the pioneer times of Rakdos mid-range. Like, I think there was kind of like a little bit of a time in Magic World there where if you just had enough skill, if you were playing Pioneer and you just picked that deck up, you'd be okay. But I think, like, to look at current standard, I think you could pick any deck up, but I don't think you could play every deck at the highest level just straight away now. Like, there's no easy jam. There's no quick Vivi wins at the moment.
I think Vivi's excluded from that, though. That's the thing is, and I got this from playing the deck occasionally myself and speaking to Vivi players so take local player Doug, for example, who has been playing for 30 years. He said it might be the most complicated standard deck he's ever played. And he was sad when they banned it, not because he thought it wasn't a problem and its win rates weren't problematic, but he said, I really enjoyed playing it. It was really engaging and it was really difficult to play. So as much as the deck was absurdly busted in the environment that it was in, I'm not sure it was a free win, like, face roll deck as much as, say, for example, Rakdos midrange in Pioneer, where you were just playing like Thoughtseize, Fatal Push, and dudes, and you could just, like, if you were playing Arena and you just like dragged the lit up cards at random and then smashed spacebar until it lit cards up again, you'd probably have about a 50% win rate.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's the same thing as that, but it is. It goes to what you're saying, right? Where standard is really flat right now.
Yeah, and like, it kind of brings me to, like, because once we had you and Mario, we just had Simon, who like has had arguably generational runs. Like, we asked him to compare it to Kai's run, and he was like, I'm not there. But I will. I wouldn't be It wouldn't be humble of me not to say it was pretty high up there. So as in, like, a couple of rungs in the ladder down. This very flat standard time. So this very flat standard of modern time, you have gone deep with Spotlight Leon, obviously your PTs, your Arena champs, your Axion win, Turin. Like, I think it's fair to say that this game may have a bit of variance, but you seems to just have some kind of secret sauce to being so consistent. Now, you see with the RC teams there, and like you're talking about preparation, but like what keeps driving you when you seem to have just done it? In all fairness, you've just done it.
I think so. The few exceptions of those runs were, I think, Liverpool, where it was like very clear what the best decks were, and then also Spotlight in Chiba. That was still the Corey Cutter standard, where it was like Corey or Wellows. So those two, I made a pretty deep run, but I felt like it was more about like playing and plans against the mirror match, plans against Corey. Whereas, like you said, these past season or season and a half, I guess, it's been a really, really flat format. So for me, I think the biggest learning curve where I felt like I leveled up was finally understanding that reps is important, like the baseline reps, but there are many times where people overrate or underrate reps. And I think the balance between the reps you have in the deck and the actual context or contextualization of your deck and the metagame you're expecting, the balance of these two is what really stepped up my game. For example, like Antwerp was the one RC I did really poorly at. But the idea was, I thought Goryo's was quote unquote powerful deck in a vacuum. And I thought I was able to play it really well at a really high level. So I basically overvalued my reps and kind of dismissed the position the Goryo's was in at that time, where it was surrounded by Ritual, it was surrounded by Affinity, it was surrounded by Yawgmoth that was just popped up because of Badgermole Cup. And I absolutely got annihilated in the later stages of day one, where people knew about those decks and actually came prepared. So for me, it was valuing the reps aspect a bit less, and then valuing more of the contextualization of the metagame was what pushed me to a higher level, I assume. Like the Bank Cup deck that we as Team Worldly Council actually did our first YouTube video on, which luckily I was involved in with the making of the video. We didn't really just say, oh, Cub is a broken deck in a vacuum, that's why we should play it. We actually took a step back, read the metagame, where it was going, and then again, it's all about, the testing process, right? Actually coming up with the right hypothesis to try and solve a hole in the metagame, testing gauntlet matches to confirm whether that hypothesis lives up, and then actually implementing it through reiteration and hypothesis and context. So I think it's a bit different to everyone, because some people might underrate the importance of rep and always switch decks last minute. Maybe other people are the opposite. It's always a gradient. So for me, finding that was a really big step up moment. Like I feel the Pro Tour, although I made day 2, I came pretty close to qualification. I was X4, X5 until I lost a lot in a row in Constructed day 2. But I think that came with me playing the Sultai Reanimator deck out of reps, or more out of the fear of not having enough reps to pivot to the other team deck like Blue Eye Control that was clearly good, and I knew it was clearly good, but I was just a bit too scared to make that.
How could
first
you
step
be
to
scared of
pivoting.
control? You're such a control player, though, Myra.
Well, I don't know. There's always like that fear of, oh, I don't want to play something reactive in a like Pro Tour field. And I think that got to me even more because in the testing house, I was losing quite a lot to great players like Derek, to great players like Mog. So I guess there was
I think losing to them is probably okay. I think out of all the players to lose to, like if I'm testing a deck and I lose to, I'm not going to name names, but one of them might be beside me on the screen. If I've got a bad winner, I'm sorry, I'm just laying into you this week, Dave, and I don't know why. There's something in the water.
It's all good.
No, but like, there's times when you pick up a deck and you just feel like you can't win with it. And I'm sure everyone listening to this, I'm sure everyone who has ever played Magic in a competitive tournament has had that experience of other people say, this deck's busted, you should play this deck. And you pick it up and you like even give it a chance and you like give it some reps. This was me with Amulet Titan before MH3. Everyone was like, it's the best deck, it's busted, you need to play it. You're a combo player. Used to be a combo player like through and through. They're like, you're a combo player, you'll get to grips with it, you'll really enjoy it, all of these things. And I played it for like a month and played it quite a lot in that month. Felt like I was banging my head against the wall for the entire time. I had like a 38% win rate and did not enjoy any of it. And I just went, no, you know what? This deck's being put down, and I don't know what it was where I just didn't understand it enough. I know Amulet Titan's a very difficult deck, and I know it's one that you've played as well. But even like reading Dom Harvey's Bible and watching YouTube content, putting the reps in, playing leagues when I could, playing in paper when I could, it just felt like it didn't click for me. And I think there is something to be said of not forcing the matter on that so much. So maybe with like blue-white control, it was just, even though it was powerful and you could have obviously played it at least a reasonable clip because you're a very good Magic player, it might have done worse than Sultai on the day. The team might have read the meta wrong, and you've registered blue-white control, and then the meta's really hostile to blue-white control. That there was a really famous, I think it was Team Channel Fireball at the time, with a blue-green Karn deck, where in their testing they thought it was like busted and they'd broken the format, and they had like a 20% win rate with it, and it was just like absolutely rancid. I assume a group of players like that obviously then went back, looked at it and went, okay, how did this go wrong? How did we get this bad? And then like 2 years later, they came with Rakdos Vampires and blew an entire format in half, to the extent where it's no longer a supported format.
Yeah, they destroyed Pioneer.
Yeah,
where's it gone, Blake?
What was it? In terms of the actual metagame for blue-white control, though, it was spot on the best metagame possible, right? Because 35% of it was Cub. The next two popular decks, Panther Bending and Sultai Reanimator, was actually the team decks we brought in the house. So we had reps against it as blue-white control. And we also implemented the Sunken Citadel Demolition Field mana base to fight those 3 color combo decks with very low number of basics. So it was the ideal metagame for it. We predicted that, and I think, although with all your kind words, making me feel less bad about my decision, I still think that was a really big level up moment where after the PT, I reflected saying, no, I should have just played blue-white. I shouldn't have worried too much about reps. I could have, because the thing is, if you're completely out in the dark alone, sure, then reps is also a factor. But with such amazing players in the testing house, even a few days is just enough to pick up a deck like that. Because the sheer amount of information, insight that you are so closely available to is just a whole nother level. And I underrated that aspect a bit too much. So that's when I said, okay, I won't make that mistake. And then fast forward to the next big tournament I had, which was Arena Championships, 2 weeks later. I was pretty set to play elementals that, Eduardo top forward with. The idea was it was good into the metagame, like level 1, 2, and 3, good into Cub, good into Lessons, just like good into Landfall that was popping up too, and good into like Dimir mid-range. But it was just bad into Dimir Demons. So I was like, if that's the one deck I lose to, I'm okay with that. But then, like 2 days before submission, I was losing a lot to really good Lessons players on the team. And I got really cold feet. I knew Lessons was a really good choice, especially in a really condensed metagame, like Arena Championships usually is, due to the caliber of players there and also the number of players qualified to.
Just over 100, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just over 100. So I said the metagame is going to be condensed to Lessons, Landfall, and Demons. Lessons seems like a good choice, but I don't know. But then my teammate Jaime and Mateo pushed me to play Lessons, gave me a really good list. I pivoted to actually an hour before deck submission. So, I was going to play Lessons with Storm Chaser's talent, like pretty stock. But then Mateo, 1 hour before the submission, was like, hold on. I cooked a little list up. 4 Quenches, 0 Storm Chaser's talent, 2 into the Floodmaw. And I said to myself, at the PT, I was a coward to not listen to Mateo. With the Goryo deck, I was a coward not to listen to Mateo. Next time he says something, I'm just gonna take his word and register whatever he tells me to, because he is the best constructed player I know. So that's what I did, and voila. I think
on that note, when London hits, Mateo, if you're staying over on the Thursday, to get your Deck Out credit card, we'll take you for dinner. We're gonna show you the list, and whatever you say for the content, we do.
My Discord DMs will be open to you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, and it's those lessons, ironically, those
Those
lessons we learn, right, that actually make you make better decisions. I can reflect on my own silly one that I did the day before Liverpool. I was like, let's try Alex's list from a layup perspective, and there's a little bit in me, there's a little bit of a for the content in me, but like, and Scott told me off big time off the weekend because. And he's not the best for like dishing out compliments because like he just wants you to like focus in.
I think you'll find I've been complimenting Myra for the last 40 minutes.
Just me, just me directly. But it was like you just played a whole standard season at pretty much a 65% clip on mono red, going into a 3-deck format with some of the best players in the world. Why did you even bother changing? Because you were the best positioned you could have been. It was, and actually, I also got that from Dan Allen, who former Welsh champion, who I was rooming with up there. He was like, I don't know why you did it. And I can tell you why I did it. I thought the content would be cool, but in reality, skill ceiling, quality, like focus, reps, everything we talked about in the last half hour basically kind of like links into that. Like I was well practiced. I played against really good players. I'd had a lot of like back and forth. I tried other decks, and you build it when you go into like the bigger events and the bigger pictures. You kind of need to like add that into your game. It's a hell of a run.
Sorry to cut you off.
Right.
For sure, like I think a big thing about deck building, but also like as a player, preparing for tournaments and trying to compete and grind, I think there's it's really easy to see things like one-dimensionally, where for decks it's like I'm gonna add this card because it's good against that, and whereas like for the player aspect, you're gonna say, okay, I lack in this, so I will try to do this more. I think it's a bit more in depth than that, where I see it more as like a clockwork or a gear, where if you change one aspect, everything else kind of shifts alongside it. So understanding that change, that merit, and then the consequences, and how to best utilize your resources to make that change to ideally a better result is really important. For example, for me, it was like, okay, I need to undervalue reps and more value the context of the metagame more. But if I do that too much, then my reps is gonna go down, and I won't be able to, play the deck at a high enough level. So it's always that balance. It's always that fine adjustment. And also, I think Eduardo also covered it, and I also got inspired from Eduardo's top 4 run. But there's this tendency of like an emotive tendency of going towards a comfort whether that's in plays, whether that's in preparation. And for me, my goal that I set myself up, besides from re-qualifying to the PT, which very, very close runs, but I unfortunately was not able to do. But in terms of like my long-term big picture, the goal I set for myself for this season to grow as a player was to try and fight that emotive anxiety I would have. And I think I did that quite well, learning to pivot, learning to contextualize, learning to trust my teammates' words more, and etc. So I think, I guess the main thing would be reiteration, trying to draw learnings from wherever you can, and trying to apply it for yourself is what helped me get here, I guess.
But that is in everything you've just said there is why I was upset with Dave for pivoting, because he didn't speak to anyone about it. That was that was what annoyed me, was we were talking about Liverpool. Unfortunately, I ended up not being able to make it, even though we talked about both going. We talked about possibly even playing the same 75. And we'd both worked on Mono Red, and Dave had done really well with it, and like actually really well. And here you are, Dave. Here's your compliments, mate, because you knew that deck really, really well. You knew where it was positioned in the metagame. You knew why you were doing certain things. And then you went, oh, no, I'm going to do this thing instead. And you'll sit there and say it was for content. And I think it's important for us, as this is going to make me throw up in my throat a little, but as content creators, to not let that cloud the judgment of the competitive game as well. But also, as Myra said, like, just being open to that. And I think, and I'm going to give you more compliments here, Dave. I'm in a complimentary mood today. Since Liverpool, you have become more honest with me, especially when we're talking about Magic, which we tend to do quite a lot given we have a podcast together, but also in private, and when we're just like having a chinwag on the way to a tournament, or a couple of messages fired back and forth, and then we end up getting really deep in the weeds about something, with like the lead up to the RCQ where I had to beat you twice. You knew lessons because of me, and I knew landfall because of you. So it is obviously on a very small scale because it was just the two of us on that situation. But we both sat down, and neither of us felt good about it, because obviously we had to play each other and we didn't want to do that. But also, you knew that I knew lessons very well, and I knew that you knew that cub deck really well. So we were both like, shit, I'm really going to have to try really hard. I'm going to have to be at the absolute top of my game. And I said it at the time in private to you. This is the first time I've said it in public, and I will say it in public. I have you to thank for me winning that RCQ. I did not want to play lessons. You kept me on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't confident about certain matchups. You made me confident on them. And on the day after I beat you, you turned around and looked at me and said, go win it now for the content. And I knew that you meant it, because you were like, well, that's going to make a really good podcast. But also, you knew that I think that was you saying, don't make the same mistakes I did. And since Liverpool, your RCQ record has gone way the fuck up.
Oh yeah. Like I think I was your average 3-2 Andy, like, who just would just miss it on breakers if I was lucky. Whereas now I feel more confident going to each of these, where I'll be like, yeah, I'll probably top 8, like, which is like something
Well,
which I didn't.
You should top 8.
I should top
thing.
8. Yeah, and that's the change in mindset and the change in concept and play. And this whole chat, like, obviously, like, knitting this together, and like we position it, Myra, and we genuinely but feel like, you know, we have talked to two people who've both done it for 10 years, and we like really think, like, looking at you, we'd be like, we should see you doing it for 10 years, if not
At
more.
least.
But I think, like, it's just been interesting to see, like, where you stand now, because I know yes, if it's in the description, and if it hasn't already been clicked, you should have left this video at 30 minutes and gone to watch the Cub Guide and then come back.
It's better content and more insightful content than our podcast will ever be, no matter what guests we've got on.
But I guess you've always have to have one eye on that, because despite this run you've had, unfortunately, the way, like, it's landed, the current, like, climate for the pros is that you're always very much on the edge of the ice, and I guess, and this will be for you, like, the open platform for you, because Simon and Eduardo had a similar had a take on it, was that it's a very good time to be a professional Magic player, a lot of opportunity, but for the one bit which is a little bit tough to swallow is the big cliff edge when you drop off the Pro Tour. That if you haven't been also kind of like keeping your reps in at the lower levels, you know, like, you've got quite a big hill to climb. Simon joked. We joked about Simon's episode because he was like, RCQ winner Simon Nielsen, because he just literally just won an RCQ, and it was like was the first one he's ever had to win because he's just been like right up here, and now he just needed to win one just to be sure. If
could you
well.
imagine walking into your local RCQ and fucking Simon Nielsen is sitting there? I'd just go home. I'd go to the till and be like, "Can I have a refund? Can I have my money back? Thank you. I'm gonna go and do something else with my Saturday because I'm definitely not the best in the room here." I just give up. But yeah, just to echo what Dave said, we've seen a lot of discourse online, in particular, from people on the Pro Tour or people like yourself who are very close to the Pro Tour or adjacent to it, whether that's they're making late runs in Spotlight Series but not top 8ing, they're making day 2 of every single regional championship but not getting that top 32, 48, whatever it may be for that region, where they can't quite make it to the Pro Tour, or if they do, they go 9-7 and fall off. And 9-7 that's a winning record. That's really good. Anyone should be happy with 9-7, but then they turn around and go, "I'm off the Pro Tour. What do I do now?" Is there a fix for it?
I guess though, one premise is that like I'm probably not the best person to ask for fixes because I've not experienced the other systems in the past. So I've not got this like really negative mindset towards this current system because I mean this
It's
is the only system I know,
you've known.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But like seeing, for example, good friend and teammate Ben Jones off the PT for 2 years, finally got back on this past RC in Turin with Charles, which was really great seeing them.
That was such
ID,
a story, those two. That was lovely.
And also even Eduardo's case, right? He's been helping Worldly Council since the inception of the team and the return of the PT after COVID. But this was his first PT back on. So it is really hard when you fall off to get back on. It's really tedious. It's very long. For some, I hear it's not an enjoyable journey because they would have to go through like RCQs and then go to RCs over and over again until they get back on. And then actually staying on the train is, the first few PTs, you have to just go for the 10-6. I'm just echoing what you're saying, but I just really do agree that it is really hard, tricky, frustrating for many. But I think for myself, what I tell myself is just a step to greatness. Actually, I'm going to quote my really good friend and fellow teammate, Fur MTG from Worldly Council. But I was really sad I breakered out of the PT invite in Turin. But he said, look, Javier didn't get that amount of top 8s overnight. He didn't become the player overnight. He only got there because he got infinite 9th place in a PT and top 16s on the PT. So consistency is key. You're just building up your skill as a player and your, let's say, like portfolio, because you'd rather build up your average, build up your consistency, and then get to the PT where you have a really good shot of requalifying and staying on the train, rather than spiking one event and then falling back off and then spiking again, God knows when. So in that aspect, I say myself, we are fortunate that we have like Spotlight Series come back. We have the LTCs to also compete towards in conjunction to the RC circuit. More options are always better. And, I don't think the RC circuit is going anywhere. So yeah, my way of coping with it is to enjoy the journey, as cheesy as it sounds. Enjoy the journey. Try and take all the learnings that you can get from your journey, so you can build up and reiterate on, and just, I guess, find a group of teammates and friends where their presence and the community really helps you enjoy and keep going on this really long marathon. So that's the main advice I say to myself, which I hope others can also take home with them as well. And I think that again, on and on again, but the community aspect is also why I want to be making content. If you don't know, like, I'm starting my content creation journey this month or next month, but my first videos is going to be about the PT recap, the AC recap, and the RC recap. I'm doing the RC recap with Maria, but we're essentially going to be talking about the people we did it with, how we got there, the travels, the food as well.
I love that. That's my favorite.
Yeah. We talk so we did, and Eduardo did talk so passionately about the best things. One of the best things that's come out of the modern system being back. Steve Stillman, Sam Bogue,
I used
even
to
Jim
watch,
Davis is
I used to watch
so good.
back in the day. Marshall Sutcliffe used to like vlog going to Grand Prix and Pro Tours, even just as a commentator. And the one that really sticks in my mind, it was somewhere in Japan, and I cannot remember where, but they went for like a week and a half and they traveled around and they stayed in a bathhouse, which I have to imagine for Marshall wasn't easy because I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". So I imagine he was bent double for the entire thing. My understanding is rural Japan is not built for people who are tall. Yeah, so I feel like I'd struggle, but I mean, I want to go to Japan. If I get to go to Japan because of Magic, that would be even better. And as you said, like it's more opportunities to play without taking away from anything, which I think is why the limited championship. I'm so happy that we have Huey, Billy Jensen at the helm, because he's been there and he's done it, and he's got multiple t-shirts, not just one. And someone like that who genuinely loves and cares about the game knows what players want, and introducing the limited championship without going, oh yeah, by the way, this is going to be only run at Spotlight Series on Saturday. So it's like you play in the Spotlight Series or you play in the limited championship. No, there's going to be multiple opportunities, and also reviving limited. Hell yeah, let's do more of that.
And online as well, like even on the
Arena team. Like online.
Magic Online Arena.
If you're in one of the areas that is traditionally, I'm not going to say ignored by Wizards because that's a little unfair, but maybe given slightly less opportunities compared to their population density. So oftentimes that is South America, that is Africa, that is parts of the Middle East and some parts of Asia as well, where it's really difficult to qualify. A lot of those people just play online because that's all they've got to do. So giving them these opportunities online as well, they've got two really good clients, and they're for very different things a lot of the time, but they're both good clients. And I'm going to say it, I like Arena and I like Magic Online. I think the Arena team do great. I think Daybreak do great.
Shout out to Daybreak, MTGO creator.
Yeah, same here. We absolutely love them. And I mean, even speaking from a selfish perspective, I have a creator account. If I need to test a deck, I don't need to go to my partner and say, I need to spend another £1,000 on ticks this month. And she turns around and says, get out of my house. I can just test it. And that's because Daybreak see what people are doing, and they're getting people in the creator program, and they realized that, well, the more people that we have doing this, the more eyes we get on the game, and then the more people
it's good
play
for
the
the community,
game.
Right?
Yeah, exactly right. It's good for community, and it's that building it up. And am I going to go on there and 5-0 every single league that I play? No, Am I going to 5-0 any leagues? Maybe. It depends how sober I am when I am doing them, I suppose. But I still have that opportunity to engage with the community. And I hope if anyone's listening to this and they've played against myself or Dave on our creator account and they've seen Get Your Deck Out and they've gone, oh my God, it's those guys. And then they've summarily kicked our ass, because that's normally what happens. They've at least like come here and seen us speak to yourself. They've seen us speak to Simon, Ben, Eduardo, Alex, Alexi, all these great people. We haven't spoken to Sarge yet, but we're going to. And I got it in under the hour, Dave. Shout out to you, Sarge.
Yeah, shout out Sarge. Local limited legend.
It's that community aspect. And that's why I know that you said that's why you're doing the content creation and why you appreciate what Eduardo does with the draft videos. And it's why we do what we do. And I think that's probably why we're on this episode together, right? Is we want the same thing. And we're at different parts in our journey. We might be on completely different journeys. And that's fine. That's great. I love that we can have different experiences and we get to talk to people like yourself who are starting their journey and talking about traveling the world and how great that is and doing it with friends. You're not talking about, oh, I played this deck and it was really good and I beat everyone. That made me feel really good. You're like, oh no, it's the food, it's the people, it's the tournament hall, it's the environment. You every time you said teammate, you said friend first. And I think that's probably why Worldly Council's done so damn well, is you all seem to get on with each other, despite it being a shifting group with like the whole interview process and the way that you've all set it up. Seems everyone's pulling the same direction. And I'm sure that happens in a lot of other testing teams, but we've been fortunate enough to speak to a lot of Worldly Council people. So I'm going to say Worldly Council are my favorite, and I want you guys to win every Pro Tour.
Yeah, but so that's a big reason why I want to, like I said, make content. Not just to, get money or whatever. More on the same philosophy as Eduardo. I believe the more content there is in Magic, the more engaging and alive the community will be. The more I'm able to kind of take everyone on the same journey as I am, showing them the way, at least for Worldly Council, how we work, how we get along with each other, how we got to where we were, where we got to, and spreading that satisfaction and positive vibes around even the competitive Magic scene. That's a big reason why I want to do content creation. And that's also a big reason why I think I would be able to kind of continue on this journey, even if I do a lot of near misses to the Pro Tour. Like, giving that way I can get satisfaction out of my journey and the process, and that motivation for me to keep going. That's, I think, really, really important, and also benefits me, even if, I have to manage my time better to make some content. Again, if I am able to boost myself, boost my morals up so I don't give up on the Pro Tour dream. Yeah, that's, I think, where I want to be. I mean, also, I just have to shout out to my sponsors, just all the support they've given me through highs and lows. I want to give back to them in a way I can. So, and I think that's by trying to be one of the engaging role models or a type of player someone can aspire to in the future.
Hey, regardless of us now being in a position to be shilling our own deck boxes, you can get them in the description. I can guarantee that the sleeves that always are in our deck boxes are the Ultra Pro Aplex sleeves, because they are absolutely the best in the game. So there's a happy plug there. That one's not sponsored, but the DMs are open if you want to come see us, guys. But our deck boxes are on fire, so you can't make us not go with these. Anyway, 10 years time, are you still feeling like you'll be on this grind? Do you feel like do you feel like you've got a lot still to go? If you've got a goal that you would have wanted to have achieved within this 10 years, and what do you even know what it looks like, or is actually just still loving it the actual goal?
So obviously loving it is the goal, enjoying the process, not falling out of the game. That's my long-term most important goal. But I do have goals in small steps. The first one is obviously get back on the Pro Tour. I've been able to be fortunate to be on an amazing team, and I just want to go back, see them again, I talk to them a lot, in the servers, but being in a testing house, that just hits different. So I want to do more testing houses, which actually, interestingly, we will be doing for the RC team as well. So again, it's implementing it and spreading to the community. We're implementing the PT testing methods back onto the RC circuit. So that's interesting. That's really something to look forward to. I always wanted to play Worlds, so trying to aim for that World slot is really important to me. And I guess, obviously, I want to win a Pro Tour, but getting back on the Pro Tour and staying on the train, playing the World Championship, and eventually get to a position where I'm someone people can aspire to start competitive Magic, like Calc did for me. That's my goal. And in 10 years' time, I'm not sure if I would be washed. Maybe I will be, but hopefully I'll be like Ben and I'll just continue crushing. And always have that heart, never give up.
Myra, it's okay. Once you're washed, you can just start a podcast. That's what we do.
Dave, you need success to be washed, mate.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We skip that stage, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, it's been absolute pleasure. And yeah, in the description, please go check out a couple of YouTube channels Myra's associated with their own personal one, the vlogs and everything, and the high level content's coming now. The Worldly Council one, cross-reference everyone. Basically, you're going to level up your Magic game if you consume the stuff that comes on there, and also just enjoy it. This the big passion that why we do it. Our big thing is we just want people to be getting their deck out, and we want them to get their deck out at tournaments, in competitions, trying to strive for greatness. And this last 3 episodes where we've been able to sort of talk to everybody across the sphere of this has effectively put a little bit of fire back under our bellies going into the new season, and means that hopefully we're going to see a lot more people live at London than we did at Liverpool. And especially as
the format isn't a bag of shit this time, so hopefully London's going to have better attendance.
And if the rumour mill of Twitter is the kind of thing to go by today, we might be seeing very, very spicy cards. But that one's for another episode. Until then, we're going to go put our decks away in our new deck boxes. Myra, thank you very much for being with us. And we'll see you all on the next one. You're welcome.
So I wanted to ask you, Myra, and this isn't Magic related. Med school? What? How?
Well, the first answer is I paused my study for a bit because I had the PT coming up and AC and then the RC. So I said, let's pause for a bit. I'm restarting actually next month. I have an exam in 2 weeks. So it's not the best lifestyle. So
like 3 hours sleep a night.
I will say I'm doing well now because I'm like my life balance is quite off. I'm kind of in a position where, well, like, studying, like, actually, Italy's fortunate for me where the exams count for 100% of your grades. So,
Okay.
I just need to be self-motivated to pass my exams and head from there.
Yeah, just cram revision for med school. It's fine when you're speaking to. Dave, did you go to uni?
I did, yeah.
What'd you study?
I studied manipulating my timetable well enough that I could tour the country 5 days out of 7 with my little emo band.
And I dropped out after a year. So, success stories all around. Myra, you're a real one. Peace.